Welcome back. I'm your host, Renata McElveny, a creativity coach for neurodivergent and multi-passionate women of color. And in this show, we talk about all things creativity as it relates to your self-discovery and healing journey. Let's get started. Well, hello there. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm really excited to be back, and I'm excited that you're here. After taking a little break, I feel really refreshed, and I'm excited to be coming back to this next season of the podcast. Having said that, I kind of want to set the stage for today's episode. Today, I want to be really off the cuff. I want to share from the heart. I've been thinking about a lot of things, and I wasn't sure how to put it all together into a nice, neat episode. And I just feel like there's so much going on in the world that I just want to share as authentically and as raw as possible. And this episode is not going to be scripted. I did make some notes and jotted down some bullet points because I don't want to lose track of what I'm trying to say. But I do want to say this because it might feel a little bit more scattered and just more free flowing, and that might not be your cup of tea. But I'm also here to be a person and to be honest about my thoughts and opinions. And I feel like part of having this project, having this business, is using it as a vehicle to express myself. And that is one of the things that I've been trying to figure out through this process of putting the show together. Like, how do we infuse the real me into it? How much do I script? How much do I actually share just from the heart and all those things? So with that being said, let's get into it. And so today I wanted to really talk about what it's been like to be alive right now in 2025 in the United States with everything that's going on. It feels like every 5 minutes there's something happening that we have to pay attention to, and it's really hard. It's really fucking tough. It feels like talking about creativity, art, and self-expression feel even more frivolous than it has ever felt because of the state of the world, because it feels like everything else is way more important than this. Personally, it made me really sit with that and have to feel the discomfort of that, especially as a creativity coach. This is the thing that I talk about. This is the thing that I care about the most. And to feel like that's not important is something that I really have to sit with and analyze and just be with, because um is so critical to my work. And I think this really goes to show that taking a break is so important, because when you step away from constantly creating, constantly outputting, you can really get back in touch with your why. You can really ground yourself, anchor yourself in your purpose. And I've been doing this for a long time, like this whole idea of like, writing down our why and being clear about that and committing to it and coming back to it over and over throughout the years is something that I'm really familiar with. But it never ceases to amaze me just how powerful this practice is, because even though I care about what I do, even though it's important, I still have to be reminding myself why this matters, especially in times like this where everything is all over the place, everything feels really uncertain, really scary, and it's just so necessary right now. If it wasn't before, like I feel like now it's more important than ever. It's probably not a surprise, but I watch a lot of content. I am constantly consuming other people's content and like seeing how people react to it. I realize that I am exhausted. I'm tired of thinking and overthinking about how to say something without worrying about how something is going to come across, how other people are going to respond to it. I think a lot of this is coming from being on social media, noticing how people react to people's opinions and ideas, and knowing that people can be so violent and unhinged. Is not unusual for people like me and anybody who's trying to share their honest thoughts online to be afraid. But that fear has transformed into anger and just exhaustion at this point for me, which is why I feel like I just need to say the freaking thing and just put it out there, because I'm sure that I'm not the only one who's feeling this way. And that's really the primary reason why I wanted to do this episode in the first place. I want to be here to tell you, you are not alone. You are not the only person that's thinking about these thoughts. And I think it's really important that we help each other, that we validate each other's feelings, because now more than ever, we are being gaslighted into thinking that what we are experiencing is not true, or that we are exaggerating, or that you don't have the right to feel worry or concern. In as I go through this episode, I think that our feelings are actually so powerful and so needed more than ever, because we can't quite trust. I'm just gonna say, you can't trust what you're seeing out there. You can't really trust what people are telling you, and you have to really discern what's true and what's false. And that's not even getting into the whole critical thinking thing, but people are really underestimating the power of feeling their emotions, of paying attention to how we are experiencing things, because we're being told that that the feelings don't matter, that empathy doesn't matter. And so I'm completely against that. I don't believe that. And so that's a whole rant for a whole nother day. The point here is that this is the reality, and I just want us to be real about it. I just want us to validate that. I want us to be grounded in reality. This is how the world is currently. And before we can change it, before we can think about what to do or what the solutions are, we need to be here. We need to be present and recognize what the problem is to begin with. So now let's transition to talking about the current state of creativity in 2025 in the United States and in Western colonial society in general. And we have to remember, this is a society that is built on the blood of Black and Indigenous bodies, a society built on violence and genocide and all the things, all the horrible things that have happened. And by definition, this society cannot be one of high moral standard. And so the art and the creativity that we are currently being fed by this society is one that is artificial, quite literally is being made through artificial intelligence. We are being trained to believe that creativity doesn't require effort and it's an instant thing that you could just, put in a prompt and like get it easily and cheaply. And it's really focused on the results and the productivity. And this is an idea that I've been talking about that is not new, and it's something that we have been knowing for a really long time. For those of us who identify as creative, who have been creating for a long time, we know that the society doesn't value creativity. But if that was ever true, it's more true today than ever, and it's on steroids. And the general feeling, the general vibe that's going around is like, fuck the artist, fuck whoever created this and whoever came before us, because at the end of the day, I just want to do this thing, and if it affects anybody, I don't care. And that is something that I really need us to sit with and just observe. Just notice how that lands for you in your body, in your heart, in your nervous system, right? And the reason why Western colonial societies do not value creativity is because true creativity is unpredictable, it's messy, it's not something that you can control. Fake creativity is now being positioned as this thing that you can measure, that you can produce, and it often lacks depth. What we really are facing, what we really have to come to terms with at this point is that this is a fight for life. This battle that we are currently in at this moment is the battle of living, the battle for life. And many indigenous people around the world have been trying to tell us this forever, telling us that capitalism and colonialism are literal systems of death that do not value life. To live is to care for each other, to be able to breathe, to be able to admire everything we already have, to be grateful for everything that is already here. And when we're too busy consuming, we don't have time to observe and actually pay attention to everything that's already been given to us, that it's already available to us. And I mean this in the sense that everything that we could ever possibly need has already been provided to us through the earth, through our natural resources, through this planet that we have that is so beautiful and is constantly being destroyed by greed and by people that don't care. That's the reality. The reality is that we have everything that we need, and we live in a world filled with people who are greedy, an elite that doesn't care about working class people. That's the reality, and that is what we have to contend with. And I think that constantly buying things, constantly trying to avoid recognizing that we are slaves to this system, that we don't have freedom because we have to work to live, is the reality that we find ourselves in. And it's the reality where we don't have any green spaces, no third spaces to be able to spend time with other people, to talk to each other. We don't have access to real food, and the list goes on and on and on. And I need us to be real about that if we are to make any changes. So, what does it mean to resist through creativity? I think that resistance is quite literally the opposite of constantly outputting, constantly being productive, constantly doing. It's recognizing the true creative expression, artistic pursuits, and exploration cannot be replaced by supposedly fast tracking results through a machine. This is a literal lie that this system is trying to get us to accept right now. So for anybody that cares about art and creativity and self-expression, resistance begins when we can recognize that we are currently being programmed to believe that creativity doesn't require any effort, that it should come easy, that it doesn't matter where it comes from. True creativity, art, and self-expression are quite literally the opposite of this. Human expression needs humans. Creativity requires that humans wrestle with questions, with uncertainty, with exploration, with curiosity. This is not something that a machine can do, or that a machine needs, actually, if you think about it. Humans make art, humans make creativity, humans express themselves, not machines. Art does require skill. It does require time with your craft. It requires that you get clear about what it is that you're trying to say. Creativity is not a nice to have, it's quite literally a necessity. We need creativity, radical imagination, creative expression to wake the fuck up. We need art that helps us to create the culture that we want to live in. Quite literally, we need the books, the paintings, the movies, the music, the stories that will move us into action to get our lives back. To have a future where we can actually live and not just work to survive. I hope that this episode serves as a reminder that we are in this together, that you are not alone in this struggle. I see you, I hear you, I'm right here with you. And I want you to trust what you are living and experiencing in this moment. You are actually more powerful, more wise, and equipped to live through this era than you give yourself credit for. And most of all, I want you to remember that creativity is absolutely necessary. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. That's it. That's the episode. If you liked it, please subscribe and hit like on YouTube. This helps me to reach more people who need to hear this message. Also, let's stay connected and sign up for my newsletter. The link is in the show's description, because we are going to need each other. We are going to need community moving forward. And I just want to thank you for being here, for being part of this small but growing community. And I can't wait to talk to you on the next one. Until then, stay creative. Bye.